I'm Tom Anderson. During my sophomore year in high school, my parents were suddenly killed in an accident. Their car had a head-on collision with a truck. They both died instantly. At the funeral, I couldn't tell whether some of my relatives approached me out of genuine concern or because they were eyeing the inheritance. They talked about taking me in. I remained utterly calm. Even after suddenly losing my parents, I didn't shed a single tear. I declined the offers from my relatives and decided to live on my own. I got by on the modest inheritance from my parents and the money I made from my part-time job. My high school classmates, having heard from the teacher, would ask me, "Are you okay?" I'd paste a smile on my face and say, "I'm fine. You know, if I'm down, it'll just worry my parents more." I sold the condo I used to live in with my parents and moved to a small one-room apartment. My relatives took care of settling the inheritance. I guess they were concerned about me. Either way, I was thankful, since I had no clue how to handle the inheritance. For some reason, I only kept a photo of the three of us, a family picture, and slipped it into my pocket as I moved into the shabby old apartment, my new home. I planned on getting a job after high school. I'd been scraping by with my part-time job, so the thought of pursuing further education had vanished. But things weren't that simple. After graduating, my high school teacher introduced me to a few job openings, but none of them panned out. I continued working part-time job and kept going to the employment office, constantly searching for a full-time job. Even if the conditions weren't ideal, I believed I could get by on my own. Looking back, I think half of it came from my pure stubbornness. Unable to openly express the grief of suddenly losing my parents, I buried that pain with job hunting. One day, I came across a job posting from a company with pretty good terms and conditions and managed to pass the initial paper screening. I was set up for an interview. It had been a while since I made it this far. I thought to myself, there's no way I'm failing this. The morning of the interview day, I slipped into the suit I bought with my parents' inheritance money and, with my still unsteady hands, tied the tie. Today, I'm definitely getting the deal. I pumped myself up as I tied my freshly polished shoes. Walking to the station, I simulated in my mind how I'd handle the Q&A during the interview. Oh no! Even though I checked multiple times, I'd left my cell phone at home. I rushed back the way I came. As the old apartment complex came into view, I halted. Is that a young girl? She sat on the apartment stairs, covering her face with her hands. Was she crying? Since my apartment was on the second floor, it seemed I couldn't pass without addressing the girl. I checked the time. I still had a while. What happened, little one? I asked, and the girl jolted, nervously looking up. Upon closer inspection, there were scraped marks on both her knees. They were bleeding, looking quite painful. Did you get hurt? I asked, and the girl nodded with tears in her eyes. Just wait here. For some reason, I just couldn't leave her like that. I dashed to a nearby convenience store to buy some first aid supplies. To be honest, I didn't really have the extra cash. But I still wanted to help that little girl. Returning to the apartment, she noticed my footsteps and quickly looked up. Sorry to keep you waiting. Let's clean up that wound first. It might sting a bit, okay? I hesitated, wondering if I should bring her into my apartment. Would she think I'm some creep? My apartment's right upstairs. Can I treat your wound there? I asked, and the girl finally spoke.
My mom said not to follow strangers. But it really hurts.
she seemed uncertain. Okay, how about we introduce ourselves? Then we're not strangers anymore, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm Tom Anderson.
I'm Jessica?
I brought Jessica into my apartment, leaving the front door open so she'd feel at ease. I mean, it'd be scary if a stranger just invited you into their place. While treating her, Jessica occasionally winced from the pain, but she bravely bore it. Once done, she hesitated and said, Tom, thank you for taking care of me. It warmed my heart just a bit. Suddenly checking the time, I realized there was no way I'd make it to the interview. I called to apologize to the interviewer, and the opportunity slipped away. I sighed, but looking at Jessica's brighter face, I thought, well, there's always next time. After that, when I listened to Jessica's story, I found out she had traveled a great distance to get here. She wanted to see her workaholic mom, and it seems she hopped on a train. Turns out, she got on the opposite train from her mom's office, and before she realized, she was in a completely unfamiliar place. I can't handle this on my own. I decided to take Jessica to the nearest police station. After that, it was decided that Jessica would go to the police department, but she seemed scared and held my hand tightly, refusing to let go. So, I ended up going with her as the one who found her. The police managed to get in touch with Jessica's mother. "Wait here until your mom comes," said the female officer. I was told I could leave, but when Jessica heard that, she grabbed my hand again and wouldn't let go. So I decided to wait until her mother came to pick her up.
Jessica.
It was pitch black outside, and when I checked the time, it was already past 7 p.m. Jessica, a woman who seemed to be her mother, shouted and ran towards us, embracing Jessica tightly.
Oh, thank God. Jessica.
Mom? I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
Tears streamed down Jessica's face. She must have been holding back, trying to be strong all this time. That's a relief, I thought to myself.
Were you the one who helped Jessica?
While holding Jessica tightly, her mom turned to me and said, "Oh, not really. I just helped with her injury," I replied. "But you came all this way with her. I think she must have felt lonely. And I apologize for being late to pick her up," Jessica's mom said apologetically. "Oh, I'm fine. I was really free anyway." Her deep bow caught me off guard. "My name is Karen Smith. May I ask your name?" Karen said. Quickly, Jessica, nestled in her arms, chimed in with a smile. "That's Tom." Yes, I'm Tom Anderson," I replied with a grin. Karen's face froze in surprise. "Anderson." While I looked puzzled, after a moment, Karen hesitantly asked, "I might be mistaken, but do you know a lady named May Anderson?" "What?" I was taken aback. "That was my mom's name." Stunned, I responded, "That's my mother." Karen's eyes widened in amazement.
What a coincidence.
Listening to her story, I was struck by an astonishing fact. Years ago, when Jessica was still inside Karen's womb, my mom had come to her rescue. Karen, about to be hit by a motorcyclist who ignored the traffic light at a crosswalk, was pulled to safety by my mom. My mom took the brunt of it, protecting Karen with her body. While my mom ended up with some bruises, thankfully that was the extent of it. Grateful, Karen wanted to thank her, so she asked for my mom's contact information. I remember now. Back in the day, an unexpected luxury item arrived at our house, and the three of us were in awe. Reading the letter that came with it, my mom had a wry smile. Later, she enthusiastically wrote a reply, saying I should send something back.
We used to write to each other, but her letters stopped coming a few years ago.
I bit my lip and looked down. Though I should be honest to talk what happened to this person. I told her everything, how both of my parents had passed away in an accident years ago.
Oh my God.
Karen looked devastated. My mom always rushed to help others, and that's probably why she saved you that day. And she always enjoyed exchanging letters, I said, and Karen broke down in tears.
Mama, are you okay?
Seeing Jessica worriedly patting Karen's head, I felt a deep pang of sympathy.
I'm so sorry. You must have been the one who's hurt the most, and here I am, a complete stranger, getting so flustered.
After a while, when Karen stopped crying, she said that to me. No, it's all right. I'm already in high school, after all. And Dad was always busy with work, and Mom might have been there for others, but maybe she didn't care about me. I couldn't help but let my true feelings slip. It was something I had felt since childhood. Then it hit me. Why does Mom always help others? Why is Dad always at work? Do they not care about me? I remember being a kid, crying alone with my knees hugged to my chest. It was just like how I saw Jessica today. That's why I couldn't just walk away. Because she looked just like the younger me. After a sad look, Karen said, "That's not true, I promise. Since it's getting late, would you like to come over to our house another day? Jessica would be thrilled."
Wow. Is Tom coming over to our place?
Seeing Jessica's beaming smile, I could only nod in agreement. A few days later, when I was invited to Jessica's home, my mouth dropped open in shock.
Well, look who's here. Come on in.
From a beautifully manicured garden, Karen appeared. I wonder if it's okay for me to be invited to such a mansion.
Hey, Tom's here.
Jessica popped her head out with a joyous expression, and I sighed in relief.
This is a letter from May.
All of these, as I was led into the living room, a table lay before me, covered with dozens of letters. I picked up one of the letters and Karen kindly handed it over to me, saying, "Please, give it a read." Inside, there was so much written about me.
We always worry about Tom. Tom is our pride and joy. He's grown into such a caring and kind young man.
Before I knew it, I was sobbing uncontrollably. Even at the funeral, and during the tough times that followed, I never shed a tear. But now, all of a sudden, my tears wouldn't stop for quite some time. They finally ceased after about an hour, which was probably years' worth of tears I had been holding back. I'm sorry. Blushing with embarrassment for crying so openly, Karen smiled at me and said, "It's okay. I'm glad I could tell you. I'm also relieved. I always misunderstood my parents." Then we chatted about Jessica, my family's past, and my current situation. We were having a pleasant conversation when Karen asked, "So, you're job hunting now?" And I gave a bitter smile, saying, "Yes, it's been tough finding one." But what Karen said next took me completely by surprise.
Why don't you join my company?
"Your company?"
Yes, I'm the CEO of an IT company.
With that, she handed her business card to me. It was a well-known major IT company that even I recognized. "I think this is some sort of fate. I would really like to work with someone like you. Could you please consider it?" she asked. I was dumbfounded by the sudden turn of events. A few months later, I now work as an employee at Karen's company. On days off, I occasionally reminisce with Karen about memories of my mom or hang out with Jessica. I thought I was all alone in the world. My cold heart was warmed by my mom, Jessica, and Karen. It made me realize once more the importance of human connections. "I'm heading out," I said towards the one photo I had brought from the possessions left behind. It seemed like the picture of my dad and mom were smiling happily back at me.